appreciate you guys letting me come before you and tell my story this morning, especially Pastor Chet. I know how hard it is for him to give up this pulpit. But I appreciate it, and I just kind of wanted to share with you my journey because God was just awesome and amazing and revealed himself in so many ways. I know there's plenty of people in this room that have a testimony with their journey with cancer, and it's probably not breast cancer, and yes, I'm going to keep it clean, but I have to give testimony to what I've been through, and so that's what I'm here for today. I have to warn you, I have a fairly twisted sense of humor, and I tend to find things funny that other people might not find so humorous, so I'm going to go ahead and apologize now for whomever I offend. I'm really only making light of my journey, not yours, okay? First, I wanted to share a few facts about breast cancer with you. Don't go to sleep. There will be a quiz, okay? This is important. These are facts that I did not know before, obviously. I got hit with this, but breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in American women. It is second only to lung cancer. It is the first leading cause of cancer death in Hispanic women. 1 out of every 8 women will, at some point in her life, be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. So as you look around this room at all you beautiful people that are in pink, that's a lot of women just right here. 70 to 80% of women who get diagnosed with breast cancer have no family history. 70 to 80%. That's a big number. You would think it would be down through the family. By the time most women feel a lump in their breasts, that cancer has been growing 7 to 8 years. It's a long time, and sometimes it goes faster. But this is where my story begins. It was a dark and stormy night. No, it wasn't, but really, it's kind of boring. I had my yearly checkup. I scheduled my mammogram at the same time. Did it last year, just like I always do. But this time I got a little call back, and they said, hey, we want you to come back in for a second, more in-depth mammogram. I'm like, okay, sure. So I was a little concerned, and those of you that know me know what I did next. I called my mama. And my mom told me, oh, I've been called back too. It's probably nothing. Okay, no problem. I'm not going to worry about it. Well, the second mammogram seemed to go just fine. The radiologist afterwards pulled me into a room and showed me up on his little white thingamabob what we were looking at. And there was just this little circle of white dots that had not been on the mammogram the year before. And that sweet little 12-year-old boy that probably hadn't even graduated high school told me, oh, it's calcifications. They happen as you age. Thanks, as if the gray hair and wrinkles weren't bad enough, right? He told me that all women get calcifications sooner or later, and he said, we'll just check it again in 6 months. No problem, I thought, and I went on my blissfully ignorant merry way. Well, I just completely let it slip my mind about a conversation I had had with God a little while back. For those of you that remember my testimony 3 or 4 years ago, I had another health journey that had started with a conversation with God. For those of you that don't know, it's a long story, and I'm not going to bore you, but it begins with me asking God for an adventure and ends with a dissected carotid artery, 3 blood clots in my brain, and a completely, totally miraculous healing. Well, this time I didn't ask for another adventure. No. I did something even more insane. I told God I wanted to be a better witness for him, and that I really wanted to show his strength and mercy and his love, and yeah, here we are. So, be careful what you ask for. As my mother says, please stop praying. So, about a week after the second mammogram, I got a call from Dr. Flowers, my OBGYN, who said, oh, hey, by the way, I'd like you to go see another doctor about your mammogram results. I'm like, did you get both of them? Because I had 2. She was like, yes, and I just want to make sure it's nothing. It's probably not. I said, fine. So off I go to see Dr. Mary Bryan, a surgeon, and that much should have been my first clue. She agreed, though, after looking at the reports, that the calcifications were probably nothing, and that we could wait the recommended 6 months, or we could go ahead and biopsy it. And I said, oh yeah, we're going to wait. Yeah, I know. Why? Well, I don't know why. But that night, God would not let it rest. He kept telling me, go, you need to go. So the next day, I called, got in, and we did the biopsy about a week later. And let me tell you, that's some kind of fun right there. If y'all could see the contraption they put you in, I'm not asking you to get a visual, but awkward. So anyway, they told me the test results would take about a week. No problem, I said. Put it out of my mind, kind of. Went on my merry way. 2 days later, I'm at home and the phone rings. Caller ID shows who's calling, and in that instant, I knew it was breast cancer. And I had resolved in my mind not to say anything to anybody until I had seen Dr. Bryan again. But my husband Rusty came home that night, and I don't know what made him ask, but he said, did you hear anything back about your test results? Well, I couldn't lie to him. About my shopping trips, yes, I can lie to him about that. But about this, no, I couldn't. And so I had to tell him. And we kind of sat there and absorbed it and talked about it a little bit. And then he made me call my parents, which I really didn't want to do. And I said, fine, I'll call my parents if you call yours and everybody else to boot. So we did, and prayer chains were started. I can't even tell you from here to probably China. But anyway, when we met again with Dr. Bryan, she told me that due to my young age, see, she's about my age, so she said, due to my young age, my breast cancer was probably more than likely really high chance of coming back. But she thought that we had caught it early enough that I wouldn't even have to have chemo. Well, I had already decided I was going to have a double mastectomy. I did not want this cancer to come back anywhere near it, anywhere. I was going to do everything I could. So we went ahead with the surgery. Now, I don't remember much about that surgery before, during, after, but I hear that I had quite the support crew out in the waiting room, and if you see some of these people walking around in Team Barsanti shirts, that generally means they were there in the waiting room praying. I heard my plastic surgeon was very impressed with them. But I think they even ran the other people out of the waiting room. But it was good to have them here because it ended up, turning out nicely. But while they were in the waiting room having coffee, visiting, my kids were eating popcorn, I was back in the back being sliced and diced, which was fine as long as I was knocked out. Not so fun once I woke up, but that's another story. Then it was time to wait for the pathology report. Well, we learned that there was an area where the cancer got out. And we learned that my cancer was fed by estrogen and progesterone, which are made naturally in your body. So those hormones help the cancer to grow. Problem. And then we also started learning about HER2, which is also a naturally occurring chemo brain thing that happens in your body.